Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very interesting week. There is a lot going on in the world at the moment, isn't there? And if you've watched or read the news at all, um, it can feel a little bit bombarding. There's a lot going on all around the world, and this is those times when it does feel like chaos. So this might be happening in terms of around the world and in big countries, or it might be just happening in your part of the world or your world within your family. What do you do when it feels like there's chaos? And especially when we've got to remember that our brains are out there scanning the world and making that assessment constantly. Am I safe? And certainly, if you've been watching over the news over the last week, you could probably understand why your brain may be on a bit of high alert at the moment, because you may have seen some pretty distressing images and heard some pretty distressing sounds and seen some pretty distressing things. And so it's important to acknowledge these things and understand that this is going to happen in all our journeys throughout life, that we're all going to live through times that are maybe are a bit chaotic, whether that's, like I said, on a world stage or in our own little world. There's going to be times of chaos. So it is really important, I think, at this time to learn and understand and do what we can to reassure our brains so that we keep focused on our vision and our creation of what we want to create in our futures and in our worlds as well. I think that's so important, because the more people there are on earth who can create, step back and have that sense of perspective and be able to remain calm and focused on a better vision for their world, I think that's what creates in the end the wonderful peace that we've had. And that we do enjoy here in Australia. We are enjoying we are incredibly lucky, and I do feel very, very blessed to live in this country right now. So what I want to talk about today is the Pravakam, and some of the things that you can do, simple things that you can do in moments where it is quite chaotic and your brain's being fed a lot of negative or frightening messages, and how can we filter those differently and make sure that we are the ones remaining calm and focused throughout that event or whatever it is happening in our world. So number one, fairly simple, certainly relevant for right now, is just be very wary of watching the news. Now, I understand there is a level of, it's important to understand what's going on in the world in the greater sense, because it does affect perhaps the decisions that you're making now based on what you're doing in your business, in your job, in your life, whatever it is. So it's important to have that bigger picture perspective. But just be aware again of how the news is being presented to you. And it's really interesting watching and hearing and knowing that a lot of those images, and especially on social media, so do be very, very wary of social media. And I know on my feeds there's all sorts of stuff that I would not normally see popping up on there, and it is very engaging and very tempting to look at it and get involved in the drama and the that the incense, you feel a bit incensed and angry or upset about what's going on. But be aware that it is also, there's a lot of different people posting and promoting and putting that content out there for various different reasons. Some people are doing it because they believe in what they're doing and they want to change, make sure that the world changes and pays attention. But then there's other people who are doing it purely for money, purely for getting clicks and getting advertising dollars. There's people who are doing it for political reasons, for all sorts of reasons. So it's important to step back and understand why that stuff's out there and to take it with perspective. One of the things that I do is make sure that I actually read. If I want news, I read it rather than watching video of it, because the videos are often the things that will really trigger in your brain stress and a level of alertness, because you're seeing something that is telling your brain, holy moly, I'm not safe. So that's really important to recognize. So if you do need the news, just think about how you consume it, and perhaps that maybe, okay, I can consume the news just by reading journalistic articles and well written and well researched, and hopefully with less of the drama. So being, very careful about your news and very careful about social media. And I know a lot of you already do that. We've done that in Prava before. And I don't know if you could do that at this time. We had the challenge before of, okay, well, just don't watch the news for 7 days. And just live in your world and be in your world. And you'll notice once you kind of unplug from that, the world will look a lot different once you stop feeding your brain all those messages. So it is an interesting experiment. Maybe you want to try it. But I understand totally. Like, of course, we do want to understand the bigger picture. And I think we are watching history unfold at the moment. So it is something also you don't want to, of course, bury your head in the sand and pretend things aren't happening that are. So that's one thing that you can do. Just be wary of that. The second thing is a physical thing. So we can ideally in these sort of moments, what we want to do is support our bodies as much as possible and help our bodies not be in that stressed state as much as possible. So one of the ways you can do that is by reducing your sugar intake. It is very well known now that sugar is very toxic to your body. A lot of studies linking high sugar intakes with a lot of disease. And but not only that, high sugar will also affect your brain. And if you can reduce, you'll notice perhaps if you are stressed by what's going on in the world at the moment or in your little world at the moment, you will probably have sugar cravings. It's your brain saying, oh my goodness, we're not safe. We need to store up. We need to get ready for bad times. And so you might notice you are craving sugar at the moment. So if you can, one of the other ways that you can help keep your body calm in the midst of chaos is to actually eat really, really healthily. It's a good focus to have as well, to really focus on making sure that you're giving your body very good nutrients, vegetables and fruits and small amounts of meat and proteins and healthy fats and those kind of things rather than stuffing down the chocolate. And I know we all do that. And we're all guilty of that sometimes. But just be aware of it. And if you can, reducing that sugar intake to help your body calm down and remain in that nice calm state. The third thing that you can do is bring yourself back into your own world. So especially if you've been watching the news and it's kind of that, it's kind of going to color the way your brain is interpreting everything. So by going outside, just stepping outside, going for a walk, looking at the sky, like purposely making yourself look up at the sky. So even if you're in a place in the world where it's cloudy or raining or whatever, it doesn't matter. Still look up at the sky, look at the trees, at nature around you, and it will give you a bit more perspective. Take 3 deep breaths and really fill your lungs with oxygen and give yourself that kind of break, that cut away from whatever's happening in that part of your world, and get yourself some perspective and remember that you live in a bigger world, in this beautiful, amazing world with hopefully a blue sky, but a beautiful sky and trees and all the amazing things that we're surrounded by. So taking those deep breaths and just taking yourself away and getting some perspective will really, really help calm your nervous system down. Because that's something really important to recognize, that when we do see all these images and when we're thinking about these things as well, ruminating, you might find that yourself ruminating on these things, that's all feeding that little amygdala a whole lot of messages and programming it to say, okay, I'm not safe and I need to be on alert, ready to run or ready to fight. And you might find yourself going through both those emotions too, feeling really anxious and worried and withdrawn, but also at sometimes seeing something and feeling really angry and aggressive and seeing the injustice of it. And so I think it's important to recognize what's happening in your brain and allowing those emotions, because it is important. Humans need to feel their emotions, but allowing those to pass and coming back down into that calm state so you can stay, again, focused on what you want to create in your world. Because even in the most turbulent times in history, when it all seems to be falling apart, you've got to remind yourself there's people in the world, and even in the midst of that chaos, that are living a level of contentment. Because of their perspective, because of the way they're thinking. So you can choose to either get caught up in it or keep focused on your vision and what you want for you and your family and the people around you. And that's the final, well, actually, number 4, releasing the tension. That's the other thing, to recognize that over time, if you may not have realized that you've got yourself actually into quite a tense state. If you're getting headaches, if you're getting tension in your muscles and sore muscles, or a sore back when you wake up in the morning, sore lower back especially, or sore neck when you wake up in the morning, it probably means that your brain is running on high alert overnight. Even though you're sleeping, it's kind of running high alert. Or you might find that you're having trouble sleeping, which is because your body's not able to bring yourself down to sleeping level. So it is important to release that tension, and you can do that in a lot of different ways. Going outside is a really great one, but maybe dancing around the kitchen while you cook dinner is another way. Last night we had a family dance, and we just put on some happy music and Taylor Swift, Shake It Off. If you, for some of you, you've done that. I know you have. Have a bit of a dance, shake it off, and allow the tension to release out of your muscles and out of your mind. And it is important to do that sometimes, to just allow your body to let off that steam. It might be going for a run. Remember, even though you might not feel like it, sometimes in these tense moments, you don't feel like exercising. But actually, that's the best thing you can do. You don't have to go hard. It can just be a walk up and down the street. It can be going for a little jog, or it can be doing a bit of a dance. My son and I are learning the renegade dance. I'm being what does he call me? Mumagade. I'll show you one day. But we're having a bit of fun with it as well. So having a laugh, watching something funny, sharing a laugh with your family, and shaking off some of that tension will help a lot. It'll remind your brain, hey, look, it's okay, and help bring it back down into that calm state, even in the midst of chaos. And then the 5th thing, the final thing, which I've mentioned a lot through here, is keeping that vision, being very clear of your vision. So answer the question, what's this going to look like when it's all past? What's my goal? Look through the challenge and think about what this is all going, what's on the other side of all this. And you could put some perspective on what's happening now. Perhaps this is what needed to happen in order for things to change. Obviously, things aren't good in some areas of the world. And so things need to change. And sometimes these outbursts are the catalyst to make that happen. So what's on the other side of this? Is there something amazing? And what's on the other side for your future? So thinking about, and I know all of you are striving for more in life, for better in life, for making things different. And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to bring that vision and be clear of that vision that you have for what you want in your world and to surround you. And you can do that by demonstrating that to your family, demonstrating kindness and understanding and forgiveness and hope, and being that person. If you, again, remaining calm and not getting drawn into the drama and the hype and all that kind of thing, being able to remain at a level of calm and focusing on the end goal, keeping your eyes on that vision of where you're headed. So even if there is some drama and some things on the way through, that's okay, because you still know where you're headed. You still know that this is going to pass and that things will get better and things will, you can have your own little content world in amongst the chaos. And even if that's for only moments or hours or maybe a few days in amongst times of chaos and upset, at least you know those things are coming. So keeping your eyes on that vision, really, really important. So that's some Prava Calm for you to do this week. So see if you can go on a bit of a news drought, get some perspective on the news, certainly be aware of social media and what you're scrolling through. And I'll always remember a quote by Monica Lewinsky, who asked everyone to not click on clickbaity headlines. So if you see an obviously clickbaity headline, even if you're tempted, don't click on it. Just don't encourage that cycle of drama and in your own life, but also in the world. I think we can all together help the whole world if we stop clicking on clickbaity headlines too. Reducing your sugar. Bit of chocolate's okay, I reckon, don't you? But reducing your sugar, seeing if you can eat healthy, make a commitment to eating healthier so you support your body and it can remain calm. It doesn't get those spikes in glucose. Going outside, looking at the sky, looking at nature, getting some perspective and thinking about us as part of a whole world and the connectedness of our whole world. Releasing tension, having some fun, go and sing, go and dance, go and have a laugh. You're allowed to. And of course, keeping true, thinking of your vision and focusing on the future that's coming, that wonderful future that you can bring into right now by doing those 4 things above. All right, guys. So have a wonderful week. I'm looking forward to next week. We might catch up on next week. I was going to do being strong and kind in relationships. So we might do that next week. All right, guys. So have a wonderful week and we'll see you then. Bye.